We're going to talk about Pan-Africanism and Mott. I mean, for somebody in my mentality, I mean that really goes together. You probably say, well, that's like, you know, squares and stripes, or however they say it. Oh wow, Katabasi! If you weren't going to come today, I was gonna call you. Like, what happened? Did you go back in hospital? All right. So here,
good to
good
be
man.
with you all.
Good to see you. All right. So, any questions really before we start? Anybody would like to discuss something that I mean, it's open. If you'd like to talk about something that we haven't already mentioned. I mean, Bill Cartwright and Gene Ransom.
So, speaking of Cartwright, it reminds me of tall people,
yes.
and it's something that I don't think we discussed, but may be of interest, and that is giants on the planet before
Mm-hmm.
or just before in early time, that there seems like there were giants, very very tall people, and more we seem to be discovering remnants of these people, and it may be of some interest to talk about that.
You know what? I don't know if that. Forgive me for saying. I don't know if that's true or not. I've been looking at that for a long time now. Makalisi may remember this. So the first anniversary, we'll say Oakland. Because we'll say comes really out of Allen Temple Baptist Church, and J. Alfred Smith was the pastor there, and he was a guy who was not very tall, but when he talked, it sounded like God was talking. His voice was so dominating and commanding. And for the anniversary, he came, and his message was there were giants in those days. And what he was talking about was Bill and Makalisi, the steps that they had taken to start Wose community, and okay, Bill was tall, Bill was like 6'4" or something at least, and but he was talking about both Bill and Makalisi, that they were giants in what they were doing, and the scripture that he used was in Genesis, talking about the Nephilim. In the Bible, they're called the Nephilim,
right?
And I don't know if you've been seeing in social media now, they make these AI videos. You've probably seen this, Katie. The AI videos, and they have like these giants, and they're carrying like these big blocks as as they're constructing the pyramid. The person's got to be at least 30 feet tall. Have you guys been seeing that?
Yeah.
Sebastian?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of AI generated freak behaviors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? My mind is open. Maybe we should research that. Maybe I personally am having a hard time with it, but maybe there's something to it. I've seen things where they say, okay, look at this skull. It was a skull as big as somebody's body. But I don't know if that's real. And this is before AI. I don't know if that's real or not.
Right.
It seems inconsistent with evolutionary science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
then when we do, and let me just make this point, when we do see those people who do exist amongst us, the most closely resemble giants, they have short life expectancy because their body doesn't naturally adapt to carrying so much weight.
Yeah, they have heart issues.
Yeah, they have a much lower life expectancy.
Yeah, that is true. Hey, Jerry. What's
Hey,
going
good
on?
evening. Good evening,
Good
everybody.
evening. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
And Sugar D, thank you for joining us. Sugar D is on tour now. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. Thank
No,
you guys for
Mr.
yeah,
Amatep,
yeah.
Sugar D is retired, gone wild.
So a second look at Mott. I hope Amadi joins us. Second look at Mott through the lens of Pan-Africanism. How odd, but I'm going to try to pull it together. So now, when we think of Pan-Africanism, you have to bring this guy up, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. You know, but there were people that were Pan-Africanists before him. I'm gonna end this show. I think I have a. I think I have a something with his. Let's see. It's playing James Brown earlier. Oh, somebody asked. Excuse me. Somebody's asking where is the link. Okay. We'll say. This is the sister that just joined this Sunday, Chandra. Okay. Um, what did I do with it? Might have to send it to myself, but I have a link. And essentially what it is a bunch of quotes by of Garvey. You know, there's a book, it's called The Philosophies and Opinions of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And it's done by his second wife, Amy Jacques Garvey. You know, when you see it written, you would say it was that they're saying Amy Jacques Garvey, but um, but Dr. Ben always pronounced it Amy Jacques Garvey, so that's why I'm pronouncing it. But so here's a little here's some quotes from Garvey. They're going to come up in a second. They kind of fly by, but you know, let's stop that. If we as a people realized the greatness from which we came from, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. The world today is indebted to us for the benefits of civilization. They stole our arts and sciences from Africa. Then why should we be ashamed of our? So he was saying this like in the teens in 1919, you know, in the 20s. You know, he had all of these quotes. Africans are raising the cry of Africa for the Africans, those at home and those that's a very famous one.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows when the hour of Africa's redemption cometh. It is like in the wind, it is coming one day like a storm, it will be here. You know, and at the when he was saying this, I mean, the continent was all colonized, everything, you know, and of course this is the motto. We kind of extend it when we close our service, but this is the motto of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, and at that time during Garvey's time, the word Negro was a revolutionary term because they left colored. One God, one aim, one destiny. Let the sky and God be our limit, and eternity are, really grand statements. And eternity our measurement. There is no height to which we cannot climb by using the active intelligence of our own minds. Mind creates as much as we desire in nature, and we can have through the creation of our own mind. So, I mean, just so many great quotes. Oh, she's driving. Bill, if I send you this sister's information, can you send something to her? Can you send her? I don't know what you would send her because it's the link. But anyway, I'm Bill. I'm sorry if you can't do it. That's all right. But I'm going to send you this sister's information.
To help her get in the session.
Yeah, but
Okay.
she's driving. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah. So Garvey, he has all these: one God, one aim. Let the sky be your limit. If death has power, then count on me and death to be the real Marcus Garvey I would like to be. I may come in an earthquake or just really, hail United Africa. So okay, you guys get the idea. Garvey is really kind of like one of the strong pioneers of Pan-Africanism. But there are these other people, and John Jackson gave a tremendous historical tribute on Patrice Lumumba. And it's a real sad story. Sometimes, I kind of hesitate to tell stories like that in service because, they can be a real downer. I mean, he did an excellent job of presenting the information, but what happened to Patrice Lumumba is like, oh man. Anyway, great Pan-African leader. Here, most people don't know, or I didn't know for a number of years, W.B. Du Bois, or Du Bois, Pan-Africanist. Him and Garvey were at odds with each other. They didn't like their style. Du Bois was very harsh, and later in life, Du Bois apologized to Garvey's wife for being so aggressive and mean and hurtful to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I'm thinking that Du Bois may very well, I've seen in some writings where he's credited as coining the phrase Pan-Africanism.
That might be true. Anyone else? That might be true, Kat. That might be. He was a very intellectual guy, but he was coming at it more from an assimilationist point of view, and Garvey was like, I'm not having any of that. Anyway, these people were inspired, except for this guy.
And just real quickly, I'm sorry, I kind of half caught that comment. From my understanding, it was actually Martin Delaney who first used the term Pan-Africanism.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have Delaney's picture up here, but I do have Blyden. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Edward Walmart Blyden, right here on the end, inspired Garvey with his writings. And these others were inspired by, Osajifo. Osajifo is a Khan word. It means the savior. Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah, first president. I think he might have been the first president in Africa. Was he the first president or Jomo?
First president of an independent African nation, Ghana, in 1957.
Yeah, the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah,
I say, praise be his eternal name.
Yes, indeed. And then Patrice Lumumba and Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. These were Pan-Africanists.
Are you sharing?
Dubois.
Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
You can't see it, Saraswati?
No, can everybody else?
Yeah, I
Yes,
can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm having problems with my internet, so I have to order a new modem. It's on the way.
Oh, wow.
That's okay.
Dubois was also at odds with Booker T. Washington.
Yeah, yeah. He was at odds with people, and yeah.
Minister, it seems that a large contingency of the Caribbean were early advocates of Pan-Africanism, along with Blyden. There was Henry
Yes.
Sylvester Williams,
Yes.
Hubert Harrison.
Yes.
Caribbeans seem to be a very advocating Pan-Africanism during that time.
That is exactly right.
And if I could add two more continental names to this esteemed list that you are sharing, that would be Sekou Touré and Abdul Gamal Nassar. We're firmly on that first round of Pan-Africanists working together. Yeah.
That is right. Also, these people here, Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia, and Julius Nyerere, and a lot of people don't know. I shouldn't say a lot of people. You all probably know, but Haile Selassie. Ethiopia is the only country that doesn't have an Independence Day. You guys know why, right?
Because it was never colonized.
Never colonized.
Yes.
Yeah. It came close with that second war with the Italians.
Yeah, 1935.
But they never were colonized. But Haile Selassie was sending arms, sending funding to the various liberation movements in Africa. When I heard that, I thought, wow, so he's, he wasn't just a king, the Rastas worship, but he actually was funding the liberation movements in Africa. So there are many people. I'm glad you all mentioned Ahmad Sekou Touré, and who was the other one that was mentioned?
Abdul Gamal Nassar of Egypt. It wasn't even Egypt at that point. It was the United Arab Republic, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Don't forget Amilcar Cabral.
Cabral, yes. So all of these people, we should be pouring libation right now for those guys, for those people. So I mentioned this. We're looking at Mott through the lens of Pan-Africanism, and when I think of Pan-Africanism, I was first introduced to it by listening to Kwame Touré here on the bottom here. He would go and speak at universities, and when he came to San Francisco State, I was just mesmerized by his oratory. I didn't know him as Stokely Carmichael, I was a little bit young to know him that way. And at one point he came to Wose. It was a big. Remember that? Do you remember
I
that,
do.
Tracy and Kat and
I
I
remember.
do.
that was
Yeah, I
a big,
remember.
that was a
Yes,
big,
indeed.
It was,
Yes,
it was
indeed.
a great day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I met him at Carol's bookstore, the original Carol's bookstore, a little small one, years
Mm.
back.
Wow.
Very, I mean, engaging brother.
Mm-hmm.
When he came to Stanford, he also came to East Palo Alto, and his message was so clear of undying love. He said it
Right.
so many times that people began to internalize it while he was speaking. There were a lot of things, of course, everybody who heard him speak, but that was just an overriding quest that he put us on. Undying love for your people. Undying love for your people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember him making that statement. And I think he acknowledged that it's hard work and a lot of work to be done, and to lean in and to hang in there, you need an undying love for your people. Otherwise, you'll just get tired and
Right.
turn inward and walk away.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And when I heard him, Zimbabwe
Mhm.
was still Rhodesia, and of course South Africa hadn't been liberated either. And so his, when I listened to him with this definition, I mean, there's a lot longer definition, but the definition was for Pan-Africanism, the total unification of Africa under scientific socialism. Total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government must be the primary objective. This is what you're talking about, Keaty, of all Black revolutionaries throughout the world. It is an objective which, when achieved, will bring about the fulfillment of the aspirations of Africans and people of African descent everywhere. It will at the same time advance the triumph of the international socialist revolution and onward progress towards world communism, under which every society is ordered on the principle of from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. And this is a statement by Asajifo Kwame Nkrumah, the savior, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Ashe.
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 So I kind of showed this. I know this is kind of small. It's going to get bigger. So this is Kemet, and we've included Nubia in this map. And so the upper part is, the lower part is the northern part. And so you see these numbers here. These are the places that are referred to as nomes. And you can see the list here on the right-hand side. And what I'm proposing tonight is that these are more than just provinces, but they're in fact tribes. And there were 42 of them. There's probably more, but essentially there were 42. Sometimes when you look at the Declaration of Innocence, there's 42 laws, and then other places it's 147. Anyway, there's the lower part, which is another northern part. Let's see. All right. Okay, thanks, brother minister. And the southern part is called Upper Egypt. Anybody know why that is, upper and lower?
It's
Isn't it
because
the way that the Nile flows?
Yes. The Nile goes from south to north. It starts in Uganda. There's the White Nile in Uganda, Lake Tana. And then it flows north and it joins together at Khartoum, the Blue Nile, and goes all the way up to the Delta region, going to the Mediterranean Sea, and it's like 4,100 and some odd miles long.
I would add to that. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I would add to that when we were the highest apex civilization on the planet, we saw the Upper Nile as the source of where we emerged from, and literally cartographers from Europe flipped the planet upside down to put themselves at the top and us at the bottom.
God, I wonder why they would do such a thing.
We wonder why. They lied about everything.
Yeah. That's true. So here are the different names, and I was showing this Sunday, and there is Wose right there. So the Greeks called it Thebes, the Arabs called it Luxor and Karnak. We called it Waset or Wose. There's Edfu, Abdu or Abydos, Dendera. I actually was lucky enough to go to some of these places.
Yeah, we spent a night in
81. Go ahead.
We spent a night in Waset when I was on tour with Professor Menu.
Is that right?
Walked the temple grounds, dear.
Yeah, but I went to Luxor at night.
I witnessed Abydos. It was the hottest place I've ever been in my life.
You're kidding.
During the day when we arrived, it was probably about 122 to 125 degrees.
Oh, yeah, that's hot.
That you couldn't stop walking. Especially I had sneakers on, and when you were walking across the pavement, you couldn't stop. Otherwise, your sneakers would start to conduct so much heat they would start melting.
Wow, my goodness.
I was like that, but it was at the Valley of the Kings when my high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, these are what's called the nomes or provinces. These numbered places. Let me go back. Let me go to this next one here. Let's come back. And and then you go all the way down to Nubia. Is anybody having trouble seeing these? Other than Saraswati, sorry about that. Yeah. These aren't included in the usual nomes, but these are other places like this spot here, Napata. Did you guys go there, Katabasi?
Yep.
Wow.
Did
you sail there through the Nile to get there?
We flew into Luxor, and then we took a bus further upstream as we worked our way towards Aswan, and then we just took ferry boats when we needed to get from one side to the other. But yeah, we were there.
Wow, I didn't get that far south. That's like the capital of the Nubian kingdom. Napata was,
Yeah, and Aswan, that's where most of the Nubians have been driven.
Yes, or as far south. Go ahead, Sebastian.
As you travel through the various, let's say, 42 nomes, is the metal nature / glyphs consistent?
What's consistent is they're all in consonants. Now, Greek historians tell that when the Nubians / Ethiopians came from the south, they brought in the Medu Neter, and everybody could read and write it. You know, commoners, administrators, kings, everybody could read and write it. But as time went on, further north, only the upper class were able to read it. Now, we have a holy book here. Can you guys see that writing? Is that too small?
Well,
I can see it
read
fine.
it, but
I can see it.
You can? Okay. Was that Ed?
Yeah.
Was that Ed that said that?
Yeah, I said I can see it.
Okay. Good. So this is what I want us to, these paragraphs in here, this is what I want us to focus on. So, as you know, 2000 Seasons is one of our holy books. And this is the author, Ayikwe Arma. And I found his presentation to us at WOSE on the 10th anniversary.
Yep.
right.
And I tried to send it to as many people as I could. And if you'd like to get a copy, send me a note.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he says, pieces cut off from the whole are nothing but dead fragments.
Mm-hmm.
From the unending stream of our remembrance, the harbingers, all of his words, or I should say all of them, but a lot of his words, you have to look them up. Harbingers. What's that? What's that mean? The harbingers of death break off meaningless fractions. Their carriers bring us news of shards. Their message: behold this paltriness. This is all your history. Beware the destroyers. It is their habit to cut off fingers from the hand itself, uproot it from its parent body, calling each fallen piece a creature in itself, different from ears, eyes, nose, feet, entrails, and other individual creatures of their making. Is it a wonder we have been flung so far from the way, that our people are scattered even into the desert, across the sea, over and away from this land, and we have forgotten how to recognize ourselves?
Yeah. I love his writing.
We have
His
forgotten.
phrasing.
We have forgotten how to recognize themselves. And I forget when this book came out. Now this is out of J.A. Rogers' Sex and Race.
Yeah.
So Sex and Race Volume 1, you see this picture. And these are pictures from National Geographic, which is supposed to be a scientific magazine. Okay. This one, August 1928. This one in the center, 1937. The Ethiopians have pronounced Semitic features. These are Semitic features. And then here in the center, of the blood royale, the sister of King Mwami of Rwanda is a characteristic Watusi, having little in common with the Negroid peoples of Africa. They're writing that in 1937. And here, this guy looks like, for me, just initially because of the way I was raised growing up watching the Addams Family, looks like a black version of Lurch. Kinky hair, thick lips, but otherwise not Negroid. And then J. Rogers says, these portraits with their original subtitles will help to show how capriciously the term Semitic and not Negroid was used. Dress these Africans in American-made clothes, and these same scientists would instantly call them Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the destroyers, they're going to try to separate us.
Right.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Can we go back for a moment to where you said that the Medu Neter was spoken by everybody, read by everybody, and then as it moved north, it was only spoken by the elite?
Yes.
Because Aikwe Arma addressed that when he said that the world, our world was ruled by Mott, but what started the end of it was the deification of the priesthood. Certain people knew how to do it, and they would get the word from God and then give it to everybody else. I think that tape that you're talking about, he covers that, but the beginning of the end started with the deification of the priesthood.
Yes. Yes.
That started the downwards spiral.
Yeah. We shouldn't do that. So I'm going to move on. So, you know, none of these people are black, you know, scientifically. And I think in their scientific circles, I think that still goes.
Yeah, you may be right, because I can recall I'm not recalling whether he was Ethiopian or Somali or what, but anyway, he was classified as white, and he was obviously
Yeah.
a person of color,
Yeah.
and that was as recently as a couple of years ago.
Yeah. It reminds me of I won't digress. I'll keep going. Thank you for adding that, brother Cat. So you know, now one of the things when I'm responding to people that are in social media, because there's a Facebook page called Disciples of Jope, and a lot of good information is put up on that Facebook page, but the Arabs have like invaded it, or
Mhm.
I should say some Arabs have invaded it, and I always send them these pictures here, and I like the captions. You know, why is the glyph for the human face a black African if the ancient Egyptians were not black Africans?
Mhm.
You know, this is the glyph for the face. You know, and here it is again.
The
You know,
Arabs are going
why
to.
would they do that? You know?
The Arabs are trying to hold on to Kemet as long as they can. You know, they're sucking up big dollars, and they're trying to hold on to it. Because, you know, the historical record clearly separates them from any of the grandeur of the ancient civilizations. You know, I mean, even their own history, if it's interpreted properly, they didn't even get into the country until, I don't know, somewhat 600 AD. You know, so it's just ridiculous. They're just doing it for political purposes and for the money that they garner from the thousands of people that flock into Kemet to see these pyramids, to see these statues, to see these tombs, to see the inscriptions, to walk amongst those columns as we did, and just see the grandeur of that civilization, even though a lot of it is crumbling and in ruins, but still thousands and thousands of people come. And when we were there in the Valley of the Dead, it was just hundreds of people there, and most of them were from Europe,
Sure.
Germany, and
Yeah.
different places. We were some of the few Americans that was actually there, Swedes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Ben, when I went, I went in 81 with Dr. Ben. It was like 106 people that went on that trip. And then Asak had a conference. Maybe you all some of you all went to that one. It was in '87. I mean, and they brought 1,000 people, African Americans, and people from around the world went to that one. And so Astra Kwesi does tours, and of course Manu does tours. The point here is, okay, this is one type of African person. There's no like one true African phenotype, but here, for some reason, when they would write the glyph for the face, they would use that. Now, this is Ramesu the second. It's on the left, his mummy. Oh, by the way, I think when you're dead and buried, they should leave you there. That's just me. But here, they found this, and so they say that this is obviously a Caucasian, but people today live in Ethiopia, Somalia, some Fulani, some Eritrean. They are classified as Caucasian by anthropology.
Yeah.
So again, getting back to Arma, remember the destroyers, they separate parts, saying that this is a creature in and of itself. And here again is Ramesu. This is the or Pharaoh that Hugh Brenner played in Ten Commandments. But there are people today. This is how they look: Somali, Tutsi, Tuareg, Maasai, Nubian. The so-called alkaline nose is just a subset within African population. This is King Tut again. Just leave him buried. But no. But so this one, a personal genomics company in Switzerland says that they've reconstructed a DNA profile of King Tut by watching the Discovery Channel. Yeah, that's very scientific. Claiming the results suggests more than half of Western European men are related to the boy king. But researchers who worked to decode Tut's genome in the first place say the claim is on. So this is a present day Somali, and it kind of favors. I'm just saying.
The Europeans are desperately trying to link themselves to Kemet.
Yeah. And okay, this is another example of the tribes within Kemet. Here, then Gooni, the collars. They're still, these are things that don't go in and out of style. People are still wearing them today, like they did in the 18th dynasty. True faces of Kemet. I like this one of Akhenaten and this brother with this fro. And it's not Saraswatis, but it's Sinrose Rhett. Kind of looks like Wesley Snipes. I like this one with Kevin Hart. They really don't like Kevin Hart, by the way.
No, he thinks the ancient Egyptians were black.
Yeah, in Egypt. So
they don't like him.
They're almost banning him, and Queen T, I think she kind of looks a little bit like Michelle Obama. Or I should say, Michelle Obama. Well, certain ways that Michelle Obama turns her face, it reminds me of Queen T.
Mhm.
You know, here's KRS-One.
Right.
So if they were making these statuettes in their image, why would they demolish the noses?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think you know the answer to that. You
Of
know,
course I do.
it's the denigration. I mean, you can go into India and you'll find statues like that. You'll find Africoid features on the statue, and the nose will be broken. The nose and lips will be chipped off.
Now, I have heard an alternative
Yeah,
theory
don't
about
say.
the noses
Yeah.
that this was actually a class of cosmetic surgeons that came to power.
Are you kidding? Are you making that up? Are you making that up?
Yeah, I just
He's
made that
joking.
up.
Yeah, he
Okay.
is making stuff up.
Okay.
Oh, oh.
I mean, but you know what? Wait, let me stop here. I mean, that's how ridiculous it can get. You know, there's
Well, if we repeat it enough times, it will be inserted into the historical record.
yeah.
Of course
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah,
But if you're going to damage the noses, I mean, you can't have both at the same time. You cannot claim that these are from the Caucasoid and break off the noses, and you just can't have it both ways.
Oh yes, you can. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I know
not for its
there's a
conscious
big
mind, you
gap,
can't.
but you know what? Some of the statues are remade. Some of the
That's
statues
right.
that we see, because the ancestors they usually just used one piece, but some of those pieces you can see this part here is like inserted, you know. So yeah.
Well, you know, the thing about the nose, one theory was that by chipping off the nose, it would, I don't know, prevent that spirit from leaving and interfering or what have you. But I think also with the nose damage and remove, it can add plausible claim to a piece, or can create enough uh, confusion as to what is uh, the racial type of this person.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to do. They always want to say they're not black, they're not African. So if they
Yeah.
can create some kind of confusion, some kind of doubt, something that is less concise, then they'll do that, and it gives them the avenue to continue to, to try to claim some aspect of Kemet for themselves.
Yeah. You know, as people are denigrated, it's harder to say that they're, you know, it's like Trump saying that Kamala Harris is ignorant or a dumb person, or you know, how could you say that? I mean, regardless of what you think about her politics, you cannot say that she's an ignorant person. You know, but some people, if you say like okay, I've heard this. The reason
One might make
why,
an argument.
yeah, the reason why you have like okay, like King Tut is portrayed like this, and Joser is portrayed like this, is because it's symbolic. You know, they're black like this for a symbolic reason. You know, they'll say whatever they need to say. This one here of Amenhotep III, he's lucky. He got to keep his nose
Yeah.
and lips.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep going. And here, these are what you were talking about, Kat. The people of Aswan. Yeah.
Aswan. Yeah.
So the further south you go, this is how the people look.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know.
they look a lot like us.
Yeah, yeah.
We look a lot like them. And
Yeah.
talking about African Americans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we had a very pleasant visit with them on the day that we went. We went to the schools and saw the children. The children came out and they sung songs and danced for us. The local leader there invited us into his home
Wow.
and shared stories. And he's got almost like a museum in his home. So yeah, I have very fond memories about Aswan.
Mm-hmm. I've included these pictures just to show you. You know, there's various types of African people. You know, and they uh, portrayed them, you know, in this way. This is on the front cover of Sheikh Anta Diop's book, Ramses. That wasn't a helmet. That was a hairstyle.
Hairstyle, yeah.
You know.
But Dr. Van Sertima tells us that there's 5 distinct types of Africans that are indigenous.
Actually, you know what? You know what, Katabazi? He says there's 6 types.
Oh, he found another one.
There's 6 basic phenotypes.
Okay, including the astroloids. Was that the 6th one?
I don't think so, but I can find that quote. I'm not going to look for it now because it'll take me to. But that's one of my favorite quotes that was in his Journal of African Civilization. So here, you know, they're playing the same instruments. They're wearing the same gear. You know, we thought froze came out in the 70s. You know, they wore froze and they're wearing froze. You know, it didn't go out of style for them.
Mm-hmm.
Here again, you know, same dancing. All right, I'm going to keep going. So this is kind of getting in the weeds, so don't fall asleep. And I'm not going to dwell on this, but this is how far you have to go. You have to talk about haplogroups and Y chromosomes and all of that. But there's people that do that, and they've genetically linked contemporary West Africans with the ancient Egyptians. Ancient Kemet is genetically linked to contemporary West African populations. You know, and you have to go in through all these haplogroups and everything like that. Not gonna bore you with that, but it's been done. So let's get into the Ma'at portion. So there's 42 laws of Ma'at corresponding to these nomes or provinces, but they were also tribes. This is what Minister Amadi, when we talked, you know, it was that was a subject that was very interesting to him. So here's the map with the nomes or provinces, and here's the list. And this here in the center are the 42 declarations. Here are the nomes, and these symbols represent each nome. So there's 22 for Upper Kemet and 20 for Lower Kemet. So they were called, the tribes were called Sepats. 42 Sepats. And so, let me check. Minister Amadi, did you come on? Are you here?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm on.
Okay, cool. Because this part is I think you'll find it very interesting. So here in this book by Clyde Winters, he has a few books, but this one in particular, Egyptian Language, The Mountains of the Moon, Niger-Congo speakers and the origin of Egypt. And then on the back of the book, I'm going to make this bigger. Let's see. So here in the back, Minister Mahdi, we find Dr. Winters using linguistic, genetic, and historical evidence. Dr. Winters explains that ancient Egypt was a multi-ethnic society in which each of the 42 sepats or nomes, Egyptian administrative centers, were dominated by different ethnic groups. What is an ethnic group generally when they're talking about Egypt? I mean, Africa rather. What is an ethnic group? What do they mean?
Well, the Europeans gave us the word tribes.
Yes. So they're talking about tribes. And you know what? This is why. Okay, you see some statues, people look like Eritreans. Some statues, people look like Nigerians. Some statues, people look like South Africans because they were all there together. And the way that they were able to maintain Mott in the society were these laws, were these 42 laws. So goes in, 42 sepats or nomes. Egyptian administration was dominated by different ethnic group who probably spoke various Niger-Congo languages. In the Egyptian language, Dr. Winters explains that many of the sepats go back to pre-dynastic times when each sepat was recognized as an autonomous city-state.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in there in this book. Yeah, make this a little. So, what did it say? So, the Egyptian language, the mountains of the moon. What is the mountains of the moon?
The place where the great god Hapi doth dwell.
Yes. What else is it called?
The Oranzui Mountains in
Yes.
Uganda.
Yes. So, people from that region. So, the Egyptian language, the mountains of the moon, Niger-Congo speakers, and the origin of Egypt explains that ancient Egypt was a multi-ethnic society in which each sepat or nome, Egyptian administration, was dominated by a different ethnic group who probably spoke a distinct language. The sepat goes back to pre-dynastic times when each of the sepat was recognized as an autonomous city-state. The existence of each sepat originally as an independent state meant that once Egypt was unified or was united, Egyptian scholars were forced to create a lingua franca or a link language to provide the Egyptians people with a single means of communication for governmental, religious, intellectual, and commercial purposes. This means that the Egyptian language should be seen as a lingua franca, a link language to be a link language used to unite regional languages spoken in CPAT. So what I'm saying with all of this, sisters and brothers, is that those 42 CPATs or nomes, they were tribes, and each one spoke a different language, somewhat similar. And this is why when they wrote, They didn't put the vowel. They kept it in consonants. In general, people knew what those symbols meant. You look at a face, you know that they're talking about somebody's head. You look at this symbol, you know that they're talking. You know, you look at that ostrich feather, you know that they're talking about Mott. And so the people over here could take that, and that's what. Okay, so when we had Sister in Yen Yensi, okay, where she's from, Zambia, you know, she's showing us where the vowels go. And there's a brother out there on YouTube from Eritrea. He's doing the same thing. And brother Salim Faraji wrote a book on Amen. And in that book, we did this one night on SOS, Study of Sacred Scriptures. Amen was used in West Africa. And Elmina is a Portuguese corruption of Amena. And that some of the people, when they were being shipped here to the West, were singing a version of Amen.
So it's like the use of the meta nature, the hieroglyphs without vowels would be similar to sign language that crosses through different languages because of the signs. Sign
language and acronyms.
And acronyms. Gotcha.
You know, so you know, when I'm in social media, sometimes people put an acronym, and I'll have to ask Doris, what does that mean? You know, and you can look it up, like what I just said, SOS. You know, you know, for us, for that class, it means study of sacred scriptures. But you know, for something, it could be, you know, 7734. You know, for those of you that grew up in the ghetto like me,
the group sounds of success.
Yeah, sounds of success. Exactly, that's right. So I've lost you completely, right? Everybody there?
Yeah,
we're still with you.
Any questions? Any comments? All right.
There goes Sebastian's got his hand up.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Sebastian, then Amadi.
I'm sorry, you did the call, so I just threw the hat up.
Yeah, sorry, my camera on my computer's not working. I gotta fix it. So it seems like to me, in a way, the Kemet then would be sort of like a microcosm of our African, you know, of our African space, right? And so therefore, the same, you know, of us coming together, gathering, and then having those principles that help us to live together in peace, according to our African heritage traditions. That's kind of what I take out of it.
That's exactly what I'm saying here. So that's what I'm proposing. But you know, it's not just Emo's theory. There are a few sources, and one of them is Dr. Clyde Winter's a source on that.
Right, that's good. That's a good one too, right? To see
a great reference.
Also, there's a book written by a European. It's called The Land of Osiris, and he is taking the teachings of a person that's native in Kemet, who's known as an indigenous wisdom keeper. Go ahead, Herman. Go ahead.
Minister, you had said that the 42 Ma'at could be as much as 147. I had also been informed about that. So was it that the different nomes had different laws of Ma'at in order to operate within, and that's how you could get so many additional laws of Ma'at, that in some nomes, you didn't say, for instance, Hail Ma'at, I did not violate the herd, or Hail Ma'at, whatever that nome was, say local economy or whatever it was. Is that how so many of the laws got extended beyond the 42? Just the thought.
I'm not quite sure. I just wanted to say that because when you read Dr. Ben, he has like 147 in like Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization, and some other books that he has. And I've seen 147 in other places. Generally, we're given the short version of 42.
And even in that short version, it seems to me like there are at least a couple of three duplicates.
Oh yeah, there
in
there
there.
are there are. Let me continue with them. Come back here. So here, this is in chapter 1 of Dr. Winter's book. Ancient Egypt was a Pan-African civilization. Egypt was a Pan-African civilization because it was made up of 42 CPATs. They were populated by different ethnic groups who spoke a variety of languages, including languages belonging to the Nilo-Saharan Niger Congo languages. And you know what? So when you listen to Brother Keaty, I don't want to speak for him, but he's talking about Africa uniting, like, okay, on the east coast of Africa, they're talking about and they're establishing a universal language, Kiswahili, for like those countries on the east coast. Is that right, Kitty? Am I correct in that?
I'm sorry, please repeat.
So the eastern countries in Africa,
yes,
are formulating a federation, and one of the things is they're going to make the language for that federation Kiswahili. Is that right?
Yes, Kiswahili had been added, it was probably a decade ago, added to the African Union's list of official languages. The last time I checked, there were at least, and I know it's exceeded at this point, 26 African nations that make Kiswahili language studies a part of the regular curriculum for their students. So yes, Kiswahili is regarded as the Pan-African language. Of course, we have to recognize that at current, French, English, Portuguese, and Arabic are also dominant languages on the continent, but the intention is to replace them ultimately with a Pan-African language, and that's Kiswahili.
Thank you. That's what I thought. And so here in the ancient times, when we talk ancient Egypt, of course, that's not what they called it. If we were back in that day and you'd say Egypt, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. But that place that we're calling Kemet, the Nile, it's a Pan-African civilization. It's made up of 42 CPATs, different languages, but they came together and spoke one language. All right. So here, essentially, I'm going to go through these briefly, and I can't necessarily say this first part, but okay. You know, I come from this place. First they mentioned the deity, the local netter or force of nature, and this is where they come from. Anu, I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. We need to get this in our curriculum.
Mhm.
I have not slain men and women. I like this one, number 5, to my Rasta friends, who cometh forth from Rasta. I have not stolen grain. I have not purloined offerings. The offerings were taken to be given to the society. I've not purloined offerings. I've not stolen the property of God. I've not uttered lies.
Ooh, yeah, big one there.
I have not carried away food. I mean, in an agricultural based society, I've not carried away food. I have not uttered curses. I have not committed adultery. I mean, that's good for a personal relationship, but that's good in a society.
Mhm.
Where you're trying to balance. I have made none to weep. Going to have to really research exactly what this means. I have not eaten the heart. Maybe that's where that phrase, so and so eat your heart out.
Mm.
I have not attacked any man. I'm not a man of deceit. I have not stolen cultivated land. There were laws against that. I've not been an eavesdropper. Nobody likes that. I've not slandered anyone. I have not been angry without just cause. I have not debauched the wife of any man. These are things that keeps peace in a society.
Mhm.
I've not polluted myself. I've not terrorized. I have terrorized none. I have not transgressed the law. I've not been angry. I have not shut my ears to the words of truth. I have not blasphemed. I am not a man of violence. I have not been a stirrer up of strife. I have not acted with undue haste. I have not pried into others' matters. I have not multiplied my words in speaking. I guess that's exaggerating, huh?
Mhm.
I have wronged none. I have done no evil. I have not worked witchcraft against the king. Okay, have to research that. I don't know exactly what that means. I have not. I have never stopped the flow of water of a neighbor. Okay, in the Nile, you put up a dam, cut your neighbor's water supply.
Mhm.
That's a very serious offense in an agricultural society. I have not raised my voice. I have not cursed God. I have not. Yeah, this is what Sebastian is talking about. Some are repeated. I have not acted with arrogance. I have not stolen the bread of the gods. I've not carried away the cakes from the spirits of the dead.
Mhm.
I have not snatched away bread of a child, nor treated with contempt the God of my city. I have not slain the cattle belonging to the God. So those are the. Go ahead, Minister Amadi. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is really good. It reminds me of the idea that we need African solutions for African problems.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when Africans progress, all of humanity progresses. And so this is a very powerful instrument that we could bring world peace, that we could bring, a way for us as different, diverse communities of being able to live together and work together, and that's an African idea, and so that's the kinds of ideas we need to focus on. So I like the fact that you did link this to, the fact that Kemet was a Pan-African society, and so like, again, a microcosm of the macrocosm, of our full African society, but not just our African society, of all of humanity. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, brethren. Yes.
Ashe.
Yes.
It also shows how the other side, where they stole from these 42 and got their 10 commandments.
Yeah, I think
Clearly.
that goes without saying, and that's what I was saying on Sunday. Akhenaten's high priest, Amenhotep III, and Amenhotep IV, who became Akhenaten, their high priest was Ra Moses. When I was in Kemet, I went to Ra Moses' tomb. I went to El Mara, where where Akhenaten city was. Akhenaten, Ra Moses' body is not in the tomb. So, and then if you go to the Ramesseum, you can see where the people, Akhenaten was trying to get back to the age when the worship of Aten happened. And during the time of Aten, okay, this is controversial, what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. Orthodox scholars may not, buy into this, but Akhenaten was trying to get back to the time when people had a higher consciousness. That's what the worship of Aten meant. And when you go to the Ramesseum, you can see the followers of Amen chasing out the followers of Aten. That's what was going on in the whole Moses story. All right, 25 dimensions of Ma'at. Firstly, Ma'at is the totality of all existence. And here are these 25 dimensions that Dr. Obenga wrote down, and also Dr. Asa Hilliard put it in his book. I'm forgetting, I'm losing the title right now, but he put them in this way. I took this and gave it to Brother Court Thomas, and he put the artwork in. So it says, Ma'at is the totality of existence. So just with respect to Ma'at, remember this. Individual, in the individual, Ma'at manifests itself as truth. In the society, Ma'at manifests itself as justice and is against injustice. And in nature, it's the normalcy of phenomenon, seasonal changes, sun rising and setting, moon cycle, other things. So in society, well, if the society is right, it manifests itself as justice. Okay. Ashe.
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 I kind of feel like maybe it's too lecture model. I should do a little hooping. And
No.
It's fine.
Minister
Imhotep.
hate your mother.
It's fine.
Your breath stink. Okay, so.
People have to take time sometimes to digest. Sometimes people have to take time to digest these ideas, especially when they're new ideas.
Yeah.
And so that's why sometimes you don't get a lot of feedback because people are really digesting, these heavy concepts that you're throwing down.
I know. I'm just crazy. I just say stuff like that, particularly if I see Sugar D's around and Tony, they make me laugh. So all right, go ahead. Go ahead.
My niece Jayla and my daughter Dominique for sitting in and gathering some of this knowledge.
Thank you, Jayla and Dominic. Jayla.
Yes,
Y'all,
welcome.
thank you, Uncle
Welcome.
Tony. I was taking notes.
Hi.
Oh, if you send me your email, I'll send you this. I'll send it to you in a PDF form, and you can just look at it, at your leisure. So if
Oh, thank you. Okay.
send me,
Thanks.
yeah. Yep.
Minister Imhotep, I have a question.
Yes.
So with the 42 principles, I'm not going to say they apply, but the wording is not in line with what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone sat down and tried to, convert the wording so that it's still true to the principles, but in the language that that the young people of today, and even in my age,
not that I know of, but I'm not the sole authority on that. There might be some books. I know that right now, Ayikwe Arma wrote a book, and it's in like 7 or 8 different languages. It's one is on Ptahhotep, and the other one is on Kun Anpu that are both found in the Hosea. And he has it'll be in, wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So let me turn off the so he wrote this book, Ptahhotep, and he has it in Akan, Arabic, Bambara, English, French, Hausa, Kikongo, Kiswahili, Portuguese, Pular. I'm not familiar with Pular. Wolof, Yoruba, and Zulu. But to answer yours, and also he wrote this book on the eloquent peasant, or Kun Ampu in the Hosea. It's got those same languages. But other than that, I don't know of any book that has plain everyday language that we use today. I'm not sure of that. That's a good question. Maybe there is some out there. We're going to be meeting with the brother that wrote the book on Mott. His name is Taka Kilimanjaro. We're going to be meeting as ministers. We're going to be meeting with him. He's the guy that wrote the 800-page book. Mm-hmm. We're going to be meeting with him on November 5th at our Kepler group meeting. And that's a good question to ask. But when you go through his book, I think that's why people like it, particularly in Wose, Oakland, is because he is speaking more down to earth, or just the way we talk today. So I think I'm going to write him tonight. But first I'm going to look at his book better, because he'll say, well, it's right in my book. All right. Go ahead, Mark Lacey.
I think we can look in the Hosea or in the presentation that you've made here to read those was the term escape. To read those declarations, and then reflect on who we are as a people. What's going on in our family? What's going on in our community? What's going on in the churches we go to, if that's the case, and we can put those things in terms and wording that we understand and can choose to relate to it or not. And relating to it or not is what's in our hearts. And we're trying to be a people of unity and meaningful relationships and endeavors for ourselves, for our families, for our children, for our associates. We can put those declarations into words, into concepts that we can relate to. And when I think about different passages, even in the Bible, and one that kind of stands out to me, and I can't remember exactly where in the Bible, in the New Testament, where as I remember it, like Jesus is supposed to be on the way to crucifixion, and he's saying to people who are begging him not to let it happen, or whatever, how it goes. But what I have done, you can do also an even greater. We need to get the understanding that spirit, that consciousness, that power of the Most High lives in and through us. That's something we understood, and the foreigners, the Europeans, the Romans, whoever come in and endeavor to take that away from us, and had some success in doing so. But if we look at ourselves, if we interpret that we're made in the image and likeness of the Creator, it's not about so much what we look like, but how we look at life, and to take some time to know how to bring that consciousness, that spirit to bear on our lives, on our relationships, on our aspirations. We can do it, and we don't have to wait till some scholar comes. But what we've been exposed to, or what you presented tonight, what's in Hosea, those declarations, what we see and feel and know that we need in our lives, in our homes, in our families, in our organizations, we can put together some guidance, some declarations that will guide us and inspire us, and then if we interact enough, on a really meaningful level with other groups and organizations, we can bring what they have, what the others have, and what we have, and find ways to put them together to know that, hey, you're talking about the same thing we are. You're just using a different little word, but we got to get serious about putting that together and not letting artificial intelligence and all this other stuff, social medias, control our lives, our children, our relationships. Let me stop there.
Well, I mean, that's good. And, by what you've said, Makalisi, reminds me that, okay, in the Hosea, and this is in on page 109 rather. Trying to get the page. So it starts out, homage to you, great God, Lord of Mati.
Mm-hmm.
I come to you, Lord, behold your beauty, da 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 da. I know the names of the 42 divine beings who live with you in this hall. And then it goes on to say, I have not done evil against people. This is about as plain as I've seen it. I've not done evil against people. I've not mistreated my family and associates. And I have not told lies in the court of law, the seat of truth. I have not, I've not associated with evil or worthless people, etc. I've not done evil things. I've not begun a day by demanding more than I was due. I have not brought forth my name for praise. I have not cursed God, etc. I've not committed murder. I've not, so this is in the Hosea. Sister Tony, do you have a Hosea?
Yes. And that's plain. I guess I was thinking, and that's good, and I'll go back and read that. But I was thinking of some of the things that are happening
Right now.
today
Yeah.
that can, yes, that can be linked to the principles that, because like we don't sell, we're not selling grain, but I mean that's not, but cryptocurrency, and I mean it's a lot of stuff. I'm kind of stretching it out a little bit now, but I think you get what I'm saying.
I do.
It's so much confusion. There's so much confusion, and young people, we need some words and language that even though older people like me, that we can look at and say to ourselves, have I done this? Have I, there's anyway, I don't want to keep rolling, but I think hopefully you all understand what I'm attempting to
I do.
express.
I do. And I think it's a good balance between looking at what we have and see how that applies in this new day and time. You know, what would be today's equivalent of grain, and try to figure that out. I'm still working on it. This is what Mother Spriggans used to say, working on my own black self, and and understanding my own black self in this society, because it's sometimes it's difficult. All right, we've gone over time. Yeah, go ahead, Minister. Go ahead.
And just in growing and understanding what it is we have to exemplify and have to share with our children, and start early. I've seen recently just some young children, 4 or 5 years old, things that they have been exposed to, and they're bringing the negative stuff, and they're bringing it out like they're 25 years old. We're like, oh my goodness, how did you learn that? Well, that's what I've been exposed to. That's what I hear my fellow students say. Some things I hear adults around me say. We've got to get it into our hearts and minds, and we've got to get it to the children, find the effective ways to get it to the children so they will grow up seeking to manifest the sacredness, the divine power that's been entrusted unto them, instead of the crazy self-destructive stuff that's floating all around.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. Social media makes it hard, and when you're retired, sometime you look at, we still meeting? Yes, we are. Sometimes you look at old shows when you're retired, and so I watch a lot of Perry Mason. I'm here for a true confession now. I watch a lot of Perry Mason, and you know what they do? They do a lot of smoking on that show. They do. They do a lot of smoking, and then if you watch other shows, they do a lot of drinking. And
they also had a telephone in that T-Bird back in the 50s. Did you notice that?
Yes. And so I mentioned that to this guy when we went to Ra's graduation. We were in Tucson, and the Uber driver, he was around our age, and we were saying, and he said, yeah, and today's show, every show is a lot of shooting. Go ahead, Keity.
Yeah, one thing while we're on this topic that we really need to be considering is social engineering. That these various media outlets, the corporate media, the education system, social media, they have all become coordinated toward the idea of social engineering. Now, from a Pan-African Maatian position, I must, with all my heart, my soul, my capabilities, must stand up against, in defiance in opposition to this anti-Ma'at social engineering, especially as it is targeting the largest demographic group on the planet today, is people of African heritage. And if Africans in America wake up and realize what our great ancestors, especially people like Kwame Ture, instructed us to do with our potential, then we would realize that resistance of this social engineering is an absolute must. I've been researching, and tomorrow I'll be doing my morning program on the rapid shift in fertility around the planet. And the fact of the matter is, there are some 20 countries around the planet now that have entered negative population growth.
Yeah.
And African Americans have not been paying attention to our fertility, not at all. Little did we suspect that we were being socially engineered out of being the #1 ethnic group in America, largest number, by 2060 of this century. Unfortunately, we got engineered the opposite direction. I frighten people when I tell them what the facts say.
Kitty, can you put in the chat how we can join you tomorrow?
Okay, I will. In fact, I was just creating the graphic for it. Now, I might have it done in just a second, but I will put up a link to where they can go and hear the program, is where I broadcast every day.
All right, thank you. Okay, we've gone over time. Usually we try to end at 6:30, and I have another meeting. And glad you all could join us. I love everyone that's on this screen. And I hope something I said was of use. All right.
It was all of use.
Talk to you later. Thank you, Kitty. All right. Live up, everyone.
Peace
Guidance
out.
and protection.
Indeed, live up, live up. Uncle Johnson.
Uncle Johnson. All right now. Hey, Key. See ya. Mom and Gina. Ebon.
Thank
Blessings, blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashe.
Ebon, where do you live now? Maybe she stepped away. All right. Hey, I'm meeting with someone, so I'm going to have to ask you guys to sign off, please. All right. Okay. Yeah. I'll. You know what? Okay, that was Bill. I'll call him later. All right, Jerry. I'm going to say goodbye. And Ebon, I'm going to say goodbye. Minister, I'm going to.
Minister Matalisi looks like he's trying to write down the link.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I got it.
All right.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Cool.
Bye-bye.
All right. Live up.
Yeah.
Glad you could join us. And yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Ashe.